Disorder having broken out.
People smiled like the world Dance, damn it. Wiedershins. Caught her taking a drink right then. Yeah, we've heard that about you.
Shut up.
Welcome to Wiedershins. What are you doing here?
Me?
You guys. No, I know what you're doing here. What are you guys doing here again? Oh, it's Tuesday.
Yeah, 5.
Oh, you got to do
Pacific.
our job? All right, I guess we got to do our job. We're just sitting up here plotting our rooftop garden.
Yes.
Figuring out what
I'm
plants.
getting all kinds of different plant combinations and flower and color coding everything and seeing what's going to have the trailing flowers and which ones can be potted. I'm a planner, in case you guys haven't.
Well, and you all might think that, wow, they're getting a really good, planning ahead for spring. So, no. You can grow all year round here.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
When I moved to Santa Cruz, and I just think that I could plant anything I want at any time I want. You totally made fun of me. When I did. Try to plant things certain time of the year. I'm like, what? You can't do that?
Well, that was one of the things that attracted me to Santa Cruz. Living down here my whole life is it had seasons, and other people said, "Oh, you haven't seen nothing till you've been back east and all that." No. It was drastic. It was dramatic. The leaves changed colors. Not as drastic as back east colors or up north, but it was fucking drastic. Fall was fall. Shit happened. Winter was winter.
Grass Valley, and there were really seasons.
Really
snow
seasons
in the winter
then.
and crazy turning of the leaves in the fall. And stuff.
I suppose maybe I was over seasoned. I'm ready to come back here to the land of summer and not summer.
Yep.
Right now it's summer.
Yep.
So, and even in not summer.
Drizzle and not drizzle.
Yeah. I mean, unless, I imagine, okay, if we were planting plants that we needed, to bud, if we were planting weed or something, we would have to plant those at the right time because the decrease of sunlight is what causes the budding process and all that. But no, it ain't that kind of party.
We have that closet's open now.
Anyway. We do. Well, yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Well, now we could grow right out here. California, right?
Right.
Yeah, but we won't.
No, because there's a lot of peeping Toms next door.
Yeah, we don't know when nobody rappelling over on a zip line, stealing our weed up here in the tower.
And the drones and stuff.
The drones, we don't want the drones to see it. There's drones flying around.
Yeah.
Drones. I guess the ghetto birds we don't really have to worry about as much.
Yeah. We have a gazebo covering most of our rooftop, but...
we need to cover it camouflage netting.
What?
Camouflage netting.
No! It's you and duct tape. You have to have duct tape on everything and camouflage netting.
Duct tape and camouflage netting? Yes, on everything.
No. Get your own rooftop terrace.
I'm just getting ready for the future.
No.
I don't know, man. Got the stupid shit our president does and stuff. So before we even go to that... Well, no. There was a couple things this week. See, Omarosa.
Yeah.
Wrote a tell-all book, and said he used the N-word a lot. And I haven't read the book.
I don't know. Okay, wait.
Yeah.
We don't have to exaggerate. I don't know if it was a lot.
Okay.
But the fact that he used it once is enough.
That he used it in an African-American woman's presence, even though she's a total Uncle Tom or Auntie. What's the female version of Tom?
Okay, he didn't use it in her presence. She said there was a tape.
There was a tape of it.
She keeps saying that if she knew about it earlier, she would have left right away.
Okay.
So it was a tape.
Okay. But then we have the tape is his press people
now there's
trying
a tape
to spin it.
Yeah, some of his advisors, after it came out that there was a tape, they used the N-word. Now there's a tape of his advisors talking about how they're going to deal with it, and one of them said, well, let's figure out what context he said it in so we can figure out how to spin it. And so she's recorded saying that. And so that's, okay, we already knew that, okay?
Yeah,
but basically that's what they do. They get in their huddle and are like, okay, so what are we going to say? Oh, yeah, say he didn't say that. Okay, and then that's what they go with. And, there's always a different strategy, but that's just, this one happens to be recorded but I think that's how they do it on a regular basis. Because they always have some, like, really far-fetched explanation for it. Every time.
Are there any white people in our audience that don't get the fact that that particular word context means fucking nothing? You can't use it, period. You can't call people the N-word and say the N-word.
He meant to say he's not an N-word.
He's not an N-word. Or he was telling people not to use the N-word.
Yeah.
It's like, you can't use the N-word
that's a good one. Maybe
to
tell. Maybe it was caught telling people not to use the N-word.
And he's missing it. Let the white boy in a room shout out. You can't use the word.
because you guys don't talk enough.
Okay, well then you say it.
Go ahead.
You can't use the word even to tell people not to. There's no context, okay, that for them to try and spin it into an acceptable context. No, you're white. You never, ever get to use the word in any context, any way, shape, or form. There's no spin. Good luck with that.
But they do it, and
his people buy it.
That's the thing. Well, I was just thinking about it this morning when I was reading that story. The problem with this is, like, yeah, we think it's horrible, and we can't wait till everybody hears about it. But the thing is, the people who support him, they don't have a problem with the fact that he used the N-word. That's the problem. They're okay with the fact that he used the N-word. So this isn't some big bombshell that's going to turn everything around, because they're already okay with it.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Well, I remember it was just a couple weeks ago, this picture from some fucking festival with, Billy Bob and Earl, two common redneck Trump supporter guys. They had these shirts on, said, "I'd rather be Russian than Democrat."
Yeah.
So these people, the most diehard Russian-hating party of them all, the party of Reagan. Reagan rolling in his fucking grave, I'm sure, over at least that part, and probably everything else, because though I hated Reagan, he was much better at his fascism than this blatant-ass, stupid motherfucker. But these people are embracing not only Russian. The shirt was red. It's communism. They embrace Russia now because Trump got caught colluding. After all he said for months and months and months, no collusion. That was the talking point on all of Fox and Breitbart and all, no collusion. And then they have proof. Oh, they have evidence of collusion.
Not a crime. Collusion's not a crime.
Now it's like,
Collusion is fine.
Collusion of and Giuliani had a really stupid say. Colluding on Russia is not a crime. It's like no. It's colluding with Russia to affect the United States elections, which now Russia has been indicted on all over the fucking place. It's kind of symbolic. They're never going to extradite those people. But then, half of Trump's friends and staff, they've also been indicted on this fucking thing. And now they've proved that there actually is collusion. And the entire thing about the collusion, it was collusion to affect the election in Trump's favor. And now there's evidence that Trump absolutely did that, and he's had to admit it, and now he's trying to say, it's not exactly a crime. It is. It is. Russia attacked our electoral process. That is not in dispute. It's only the extent to which they attacked it that's being investigated now. The fact whether or not they attacked it, that absolutely happened.
Our former number one foe picked our president. Let that sink in for a moment.
Well, attacking our election system makes them an enemy, even if we had tried to get along before, and perestroika and all this shit that happened way back. Tear down this wall. Now they're attacking our election system, and it happened. It's proven they are an enemy.
And we would be the very first to express our outrage if this happened in any other country. Yep. If some country infiltrated another country's election and, rigged it, to use his word,
offering comfort,
we would be totally up in it.
Offering comfort and or aid to an enemy is under the very definition of treason. It's not a large definition, but that's one of the portions of it. It's indisputable. Now they can just try and spin it like his use of the N-word. Now they're going to spin it. Just popping in the chat room. Hello, y'all, in the chat room. They're having very private conversations in the chat room right
What?
now. It's like a social network.
They're all
over
clicky
there.
now?
Yeah, they're all clicky.
There's certain people who won't type to each other and stuff.
We got our regulars, one of the reasons we don't change the night of our shows, our regulars, this is how they meet each other. I'm sure they probably friended each other on Facebook and keep in touch now, but they keep in touch in our chat room. And you could get in our chat room if you went to Spreaker.com. Was it /user/Wittersons?
I don't know.
I think it's /user/Wittersons. Or just go to Spreaker.com and search, Wittersons. But you don't even have to be on Wittersons to make an account, to get in the chat room, to follow the shows, that kind of thing. You can click on, sign in with Facebook, sign in with Twitter. You're like 3 clicks away, and you're there. So, let's see, we talked about the Trump, and then the weekend. Oh, we had one of those weekends again. Today, or this last weekend was the first anniversary of the Nazi marches, the Nazi torchlight marches. I always like to throw that in there. Nazi torchlight marches in Charlottesville, where there was much violence a year ago between Antifa, the anti-fascists, and the fascists. And a lot of injuries, and one woman was killed by this guy that rammed a bunch of people with his car. It's amazing that only one person got killed. But still, tragedy. And he's still... It still seems like he's at the preliminary stages of his trial.
Well, I don't know. Oh, hold on. I don't know exactly where he is, honestly, in his trial, but they would say something if he had gotten sentenced.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I thought I heard something recently, and it was, it was like preliminary arguments being, and I was like, wow, really, a fucking year ago? So hopefully he's been in jail without bail all this time.
Oh, I'm sure.
I didn't follow it that closely.
No way they're going to let anybody out with something that big.
Problem is, in jail or prison, he's probably treated like a hero amongst his white brethren.
Yeah, and he's probably kept separately, like these high-profile cases.
Yeah, that too.
They don't put him in with everybody else.
But
like Dylan Roof and just all the school shooters that they get alive too. They just keep them separate.
So it was the first anniversary. So there were marches and protests all over the place in Portland, Oregon.
DC.
Portland, Oregon, apparently there was, closer to equal size on each side, but apparently the police protected the Nazis and attacked the anti-Nazis. Go figure. And then DC.
As some of you may know, I occasionally like to read the other side's news just to see what they're reading. And they had probably almost 10 stories about how Antifa was inciting all the violence. They didn't say anything about anything else. It was all about Antifa this, they attacked this, they attacked that. And Antifa and Black Lives Matter people. Both of those. They just kept going on and on and on. Different angles, same idea.
Forcing your views upon another is under the very definition of fascism. Forcing your views on another by force or threat. Fascism on a political scale. It's fascism. You could argue Antifa is using the same tactics, but you got to fight fire with fire. I've said this a million times in the last week, people talking about this kind of stuff. Historically, the only way to combat Nazis is violence, because Nazis, fascists, that's their whole thing. It's all about violence. It's forcing you to their way of thinking with force and violence. That's what fascism is. That's what Nazis are. There's no way to passively resist Nazis. Hasn't been done. Anybody that's tried was slaughtered. I don't know of any case in history where that's happened. Clashing with them in the street doesn't always do away with them, but it's the only thing you can do. I look back, I think when the Charlottesville thing happened, one of the things that this map from the Southern Poverty Law Center came out of the hate groups around the country, and we found out that
one in Santa Cruz?
Yeah, we found out that one of the big organizers of the Charlottesville thing was the Daily Stormer that came out of Santa Cruz, California, our old hometown. And I think I've told this story recently on Facebook, but it's much easier when I don't have to type it all. Back in my day, back in the 90s, 96, 97, 98, the years that I was deep on the street all the time because that was my job. I was a busker. I was worked for Cop Watch. I worked for Food Not Bombs. Like being downtown was my job. I didn't get paid much, but I recall a night about 97 that a group of skinheads tried to march down Pacific Avenue about 8 o'clock p.m. on a Saturday night, carrying a big fucking Nazi flag. I don't know what they were chanting because they didn't get more than 3 words out. They got their flag unfurled. They got about 3-4 steps, and everybody in Santa Cruz that was there kicked their asses. Old ladies, old men, hippies. The funniest thing that I always remember out of this is back when we had deadheads. I come running up to kick this guy in the head too, and there's this deadhead beating this guy in the head with a hacky sack over and over, just as hard as he could throw something that's really not going to cause him any damage, but just the fact that was happening. And as my boot came down, I caught him in the shoulder. I noticed that many of the feet kicking this fascist had no shoes, barefoot, hippies, deadheads, these kind of people, the nonviolence, the pacifists. Historically, in a land where hippie is hippie, deadhead is deadhead. We had old hippie mayors and city council people. They were hippies from back when hippie meant something. They weren't down there kicking the fascists, but everybody, these skinheads didn't make it 5 feet before they were beat and chased down the street in fear of more beats. And apparently, in the time that is not our time in Santa Cruz, that may have changed. I hear that they have marched down the street. That they do have open protests. I'm sure there's plenty of Santa Cruzians protesting them. But the fact that this Daily Stormer could be out there. Now, before we go on to news and other things like that, one of the things that Marta reminded me of this today. I think it was today we were talking about Antifa. Clashing in the streets with Nazis is tradition for anarchists and anti-fascists of any kind, but the most historical anti-fascists clashing in the streets that we have are the anarchists. The anarchists and the communists clashing with the fascists. And there was a time in history in Spain when the anarchists and the communists sided up against the fascists. Eventually the communists turned on the anarchists, and that's a whole nother fucking story. But that's not the only thing Antifa has done. Antifa has geeks. Geeks have hacked shit. Geeks have gotten information. Geeks have thwarted fascist gatherings. And there's this group, I forget, it's not the Daily Stormer, but there's another group that they have now. Their main thing is they're like warriors for the fascists. They're like the skinheads used to be, but a whole nother level. And there's a word for that.
They're on the fascist side?
Yeah, they're on the fascist side.
Oh.
They're the ones, heading into violent stuff in this day and age. Maybe I'll look it up at the break or something like that. But I do have several news stories. But Antifa's hacking shit. They're getting information. They're turning they're turning the communications of the fascists against each other and screwing up their rallies. Doxing. It was Antifa that first started using facial recognition software on all this footage that we have from these events, and they started doxing these people. They started finding out where they work, finding out where they live, and flooding the social networks where they live, and sending messages to their work, saying, "Hey, look, you've got a Nazi that works for you. Here he is, carrying a tiki torch down the street, chanting, 'Jews will not replace us.' He works for you. We know it." Not a whole lot of people are going to want to take that on. Even if your boss, really likes you, the fact that Antifa knows that you work there, knows that you have a Nazi working there, and just fucking called you up and told you, that dude probably going to get fired. Not many people are going to stick up for that. And, a lot of these guys are working in shit redneck jobs back, in the Bible Belt and shit
and then
anyways.
They're turning around and playing victim, and all the red people are like, we're not doing anything. We're just freedom of speech, freedom of speech.
We're just scared.
I hate these people.
We don't want to be victimized.
Yeah.
And that,
and my favorite, as you know, when the aggressor plays the victim.
Yeah.
I love it.
And we both saw this shit on CNN, the D.C. protest, when something happened. I'm hoping it's Antifa's version of COINTELPRO infiltrated these fascist groups and got several factions to turn on each other. So several factions turned on each other before the D.C. rally could even happen. And so several factions didn't show up because they didn't want to be seen with those other assholes. This is the kind of shit the FBI used to use on the Black Power movements in the 60s and the 70s to break them up. They'd start little faction fights amongst them, and the factions hadn't even been involved in a fight, but next thing you know, they're fighting. I hope Antifa's turned that around, because Antifa would know about that. But also, the groups that were there said that they're really concerned for their safety, and they cited being doxxed, people at their work knowing that they did this kind of shit. It's like, I don't know. I don't have any respect for these fascists, but that kind of behavior, that makes me lose all respect for these fascists. You don't have the backbone to go and, hate the black people and hate the Jews, because people at your work might find out. People in your neighborhood might find out that you believe that. Well, how strongly do you hold your views? You little snowflake bitches. We'll be back after these messages.
Calling 2012. Yeah. We back up in this. Y'all already know. Cause I am the baddest of them all. If you ain't about money, then I don't mess with y'all. Y'all think I don't get girls, cause I ain't very tall. If she see my stacks, I bet you that she calls. You know that I am the baddest of them all. If you ain't about money, then I don't mess with y'all. Y'all think I don't get girls, cause I ain't very tall. If she see my stacks, I bet you that she calls. I had to fight my whole life. I could beat you up even if you had 1,000 knives. Even if you had infinity knives, I would punch you up into the air like a kite. I bet you sleep with the night light, cause you're scared of the dark, cause you stink like a fart. Well, I like your fart on fire with my rounds. You think I won't? I do it all the time. I bet I got more money than Jay-Z. Compared to me, Jay-Z is lazy. Plus Beyonce thinks that I'm cute. It's okay, Beyonce, I think you're cute too. I made out with so many girls. I made out with every girl in the world. I might look small, but I'm not. I don't care if you're big, I'll fight you. Well, I do know that I am the baddest of them all. If you ain't about money, then I don't mess with y'all. Y'all think I don't get girls, cause I ain't very tall. If she see my stats, I bet you that she calls. Cause I am the baddest of them all. If you ain't about money, then I don't mess with y'all. Y'all think I don't get girls, cause I ain't very tall. If she see my stacks, I bet you that she calls. I have 400 cars. I have 400 scars and 400 guitars. I have 400 houses. I have 400 mouses and 400 houses. Bet you I can dance better than you. I bet you don't know 2 plus 2. It's 4, it's 4. Now go and shut the door, cause nobody wants to see your face no more. I'm tough as nails, you're slower than a snail. I beat up every single person in jail. I dare you to try and punch me. My face is so hard you'll say, ouch, you crunched me. I fought 2 lions and 1. And I don't even carry a gun. But I never run. But I never run. But I never but I never run. You know that I am the baddest of them all. If you ain't about money, then I don't mess with y'all. Y'all think I don't get girls, cause I ain't very tall. If she see my stats, I bet you that she calls. You know that I am the baddest of them all. If you ain't about money, then I don't mess with y'all. Y'all think I don't get girls, cause I ain't very tall. If she see my stacks, I bet you that she calls. Froggy Fresh. I already told you back up in this. 2012 to infinity. Get out of here. Peace.
The artist formerly known as Krispy Kreme, Froggy Fresh, on Waiter Shins. Then we had Casey Neal before that. Damn, well, I just became a morning person again today. And Marta was kind of a morning person. She was always up before me anyways. But I had, 2 months?
That's it.
2 months off?
That's it.
Not being a morning person. We had to take the first day of school, man. Today. Widdershins Day. I'm not dragging as much as I should be. I thought I was. I was awake more than I thought I would be. At least
he has a 4-day week this week, and a 4-day week next week. After that. There's a 4-day week, a 5-day week, and a 4-day week.
So I don't know what it's like where you all are, but I seem to remember going to school in September.
We all did.
September, man.
Why do you think I celebrate my half birthday? Because there was never a birthday party at my school for my birthday. Because my birthday was in August.
So if you'd been born later,
my birthday is not till next week, and my fucking kid's already in school. That's wrong. Man. It's wrong.
You were just born too early. You'd been having school birthday parties. Cupcake. Well, no, your
wasn't
parents
born
wouldn't have
too
brought
early.
cupcakes, though. So you didn't really miss anything. I don't know if your parents would have done a birthday party at
That's
school.
true. They probably wouldn't have.
Yeah, so fuck that.
But
It's
still,
perfect. You were born perfect.
I'd
time.
be telling all the kids that
Yeah.
it was my birthday.
Yeah.
They'd say happy birthday.
Yeah. So yeah, summer's fucking 2 months long or something like that. So we became morning people again today. Let's see, we were talking about the fascists, right? The fascist weekend. So there was, Nazis and anti-fascists around the country. I didn't hear anything happening in Charlottesville. I think the city was pretty locked down. I think they had a huge police presence just
Didn't
in
we
case.
see something like the mayor on Charlottesville was on CNN or something?
I thought we
She was
did.
an African American woman. Or
Yeah. Something
happening?
like that.
I don't remember.
Something like
I don't remember.
But then D.C. was supposed to be like the big thing. Like some people were saying that the Charlottesville protest was a ruse to throw people off from the real gathering that was going to happen in D.C.
Isn't that DC the one where they were vastly outnumbered?
Yes. Well, that was the one we were talking about before. Like, they had these
that's
faction
it.
fights leading up to it. You told me about this. It was like this group didn't like that group, and so they weren't going to show up because that group was going to be there. And it was like that thinned their
I didn't
numbers.
tell you that.
You were reading me the story that pretty much that's what it meant. That's what was going on. Huh. Well, maybe you didn't retain it, but I got it. You read me these news stories, and I retained certain information from them. I retained that. So there have been these factions that didn't like each other and that kind of thing, and didn't want to be involved with each other's protests. And then there was the fear factor. They're scared. They're going to lose their jobs. Those that didn't lose their jobs in Charlottesville, now they're really good at it. And facial recognition software is not that hard to come by.
Well, it's like I am in no way defending the KKK, but I'm just saying that's why they wore those white hoods. So people wouldn't recognize them, so they wouldn't get fired from their jobs. Like, these idiots are so just emboldened by what's going on in this country. They're like, fuck, I don't need a mask. You do need a mask because you will get fired.
Well, I'm glad
I
they
don't know
don't.
how that sounded, but that's
Yeah.
why they wear the hoods.
I'm just glad they don't listen to our show. I don't want to give them any strategic
Yeah, I'm not
ideas.
giving him any advice or anything, but it's like, really, people, really, you're surprised that you're getting fired?
So meanwhile, around the country, the fascists and the anti-fascists are doing their thing. And in New Orleans, the witches, warlocks, hoodoos, probably some ceremonialists too, all kinds of magic people, magic users from all over the spectrum, meeting up for HexFest. The lead up to HexFest this year was a threat from some Catholic church. They were going to protest it, and they were going to pray against them and do away with the evil one,
I don't
who I
know.
think was Christian Day.
I don't know that I would call that a threat,
Yeah.
but they basically said, like, your evil is no match for our good.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. And then they okay, so then that happened. But then, a lot of people talk a lot of shit. But I recognize, a stand-up move when I see it. And Christian Day, man, he was a stand-up guy about this. He heard this thing. He's in charge of this thing. HexFest is his thing. Many people, even though especially if they're in charge of a thing, they're gonna, shirk responsibility because they're in charge. Instead, he goes and talks to, I don't know, was the priest, the archbishop? Who was the guy?
Was that some pastor?
Or the guy in charge of the church, allegedly involved with it, the local Catholic church, and just confronted him head on about it, politely, and the pastor, whatever the fuck he was, he denied any involvement, said that his people don't do that.
Or I don't know. I don't remember exactly what he said, but either he did not know anything about it, wasn't involved. But anyway, it sounds like it, was a civil conversation. It ended well, and I'm sure Christian thought everything was fine.
Yeah. And then, so they're, they had this sad little protest. I watched it live. Somebody had the live feed of these Catholics in their protest, and I gotta say, y'all, I know some of you are just woke, but I'm a protester from way back. I wouldn't call myself a professional protester. I never got paid for protesting, but it was my job, and it was rabble rousing, and communications was my job within my union, the Industrial Workers of the World, back in the 90s, and I've seen some good protests and some boring protests, but I have never seen anything more boring. I've never seen a more boring protest than the Catholics protest. And, they try to raise me Catholic, and I've always said it's just like, that's one of the most boring religions I've ever seen. It's just, Our Father and Hail Mary, and they chant them over and over again with no feeling whatsoever. And the priest comes out and goes, "May the Lord be with you." And everybody goes, "And also with you." It's just, they sound like these fucking emotionless robots. Hi, Sasha. Say hi.
Hi.
Yeah, well, don't tap my shoulder. I can't talk to you right now. I'm on the radio. Which looks like a phone, I know. But it's a podcast going out into the world. You have to ask me another time.
I want to open some of your unopened crates.
Go ahead, open some of my unopened crates in whatever video game he's talking about. Well, the thing that you
didn't mention was the letters slipped in the hotel door. Did they do that?
Yeah.
They did that before they went out to protest, I believe.
I think so. Yeah, I was getting to that too. And
you talk. I'm going to bring up the actual letter.
Okay, cool. Yeah, good, because I don't have that. Yeah. There's this boring protest, which nobody disagreed. Christian Day didn't disagree with it. Nobody had disagreed. It's like it sucks that you guys are doing that, but you can protest as much as we can protest. Our protest would offend you way more than your protest. He's talking about having bikini-clad women in pointy hats protest at the church. That's the result. But part of it is because of this letter that Marta's going to bring up.
Here we go.
The hotel, the main hotel where most of the guests were staying, somebody the night before HexFest, right when it was starting, went through the whole hotel and slipped this very threatening letter under the door. And Marta's going to tell you that.
It's not even threatening. It's just stupid.
Yeah.
But anyway, and it's offensive. What it is it's offensive, and he had people there from all over the world, as far away as Australia, and I think one of them who was here from Australia showed him the letter.
Yeah.
And if I were putting on an event and people came from all over, I would take some responsibility for wanting them to be satisfied, and something like that happens and I would be livid. So anyway, I don't know if I articulated that correctly.
So,
because
and that's what he did. Yeah,
livid, but
he was livid.
So should I read it?
Yeah, please.
Okay. It says, so it's like a typewritten letter, pretty much mostly a page, and it says, "Welcome to New Orleans. The city has been taken over by the saints of the what? The city has been taken over by the saints of the true and living God. All witchcraft, all witchcraft, sorcery, hexes, spells, voodoo magic, and everything else pertaining to HexFest is rendered powerless by the blood of Jesus Christ. All portals are blocked, and there is no access into the demonic realm. The The angels of the Most High are surrounding the city, and you cannot prevail. Your only hope is to accept defeat and surrender your life to the one who created you. The choice is yours. Light to darkness, heaven or hell, God or Satan. And then they're showing some scripture. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. Whosoever believes in him should not perish in sin and darkness, but will have eternal life. John chapter 3, verse 16. I'm sorry, I'm not wearing my glasses, so I'm tripping over the words a little bit. And the second one is, and having disarmed the powers and principalities, he made a public spectacle of them, triumphing over them by the cross. Colossians 2:15. So anyway...
Colossians.
It's kind of rude.
Who the hell?
It's like, okay, listen, people are on vacation.
Yeah.
They're from the other part of the world. They're just in their hotel room.
Well, yeah.
Trying to enjoy themselves. And people slip this shit under the door?
Well, that's
really?
that's where I was going to go right away. It's like, first of all, the person that posted it came from Australia. Yeah. I have never heard of any witchcraft persecution in Australia. Correct me if I'm wrong. Those stories have not come across my desk. I tend to keep aware of the countries where this shit happens. In most of the rest of the world, and here too, we were beyond that shit. But here in America, we were beyond a bunch of shit that's now our shit again, man. We were beyond Nazis marching in the street. We were beyond racism being okay. We were beyond homophobia being okay.
We were beyond our president being recorded using the N-word.
We were beyond our president being recorded using the N-word. And our last president, if he had used the N-word, it would have been he would have had a pass. You know, he could use it. He could call people his N-words. He wouldn't have used it. No, he had too much class. That was kind of a problem there. But yeah, everything that was good is now bad. What's right is wrong. I think I have that song. I'm going to have to find that. I don't even know where. There's so much to say that I get lost on all the things
I don't know. I haven't been keeping close track of it. I don't know if they just had their little protest that one afternoon or if they came out every day that they had a HexFest.
Well, I got a news story that I read most of it, but a news story about it. Hopefully it'll wrap up everything that happened.
I don't know if they mentioned if it might have been just that one time that they came out.
Yeah, but that was the thing. You know, it was like protest. I mean, in reality, the Catholics were protesting in front of the Catholic Church. I don't know why they weren't in the church. Some people said that the priest wouldn't let them in. I don't know anything about that.
I kind of think they were doing it so everybody would see.
Yeah, but so they were doing it on this really small street with no traffic, with hardly anybody going by. They're all, you know, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord bless you. Blah, 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 blah. It was just like boring as fuck. Boring as fuck. The most exciting thing was the bagpipes busting in, but I kind of think the bagpipes were counter-protesters trying to drown them out. Because it didn't really work with what they were doing. But nobody disagreed with their right to do that. But to go into the hotel where all of the guests were staying and put these you know, threatening sounding letters under their door, that was not okay. And then Christian Day put out I think it was there was that group, that teen group that he some teen Catholic group that may have organized that portion of it. And so, you know, he fired back at the church, like, you know, wow, so, you know, bad enough you doing this illegal act, but sending children to do it, you know, they're at least, you know, teens, they're under 18. And he seemed to have, you know, evidence for that or information to believe that. But, you know, quite a gaggle.
Yeah, I don't remember what their acronym is, like ATS, maybe?
Yeah, I'm not even sure. I'm just going to go to the story in the New Orleans Advocates. This just came out, I think, August 11th. This is a terrorizing act. New Orleans Witchcraft Festival runs into protests, threatening messages. His first name may be Christian, and he may love the Pope, but Christian Day is a witch. Just ask him. I don't know, man. I think he would say he's a warlock. But okay, go ahead.
It's the TFP Student Action.
Okay, TFP Student Action has apparently been linked to the going into the hotel room, slipping the letters out of the door, and I'm sure there's security footage where that can be easily proven.
And then some people thought it might have been an inside job, too.
Yeah. So Christian Day is a witch. Just ask him. I think if we asked him, he'd say he was a warlock, but whatevs. Day and his husband, Brian Kame, have welcomed others who practice witchcraft and magic to New Orleans for the past 4 years, with hundreds from around the world coming to the Bourbon Orleans Hotel for the annual HexFest. Day said that with the city's history of tolerating and even revering voodoo and witchcraft, the first 3 years of the festival were nothing but welcoming. Not this year. Over the weekend, the festival's witches, voodoo priestesses, and conjurers were joined in the French Quarter by Christian groups who protested and prayed outside St. Louis Cathedral. Day said he respected their right to protest, even though he thought that they were wrong. He took serious issue with their calling festival participants demonic and satanic. But what he found under his door Saturday crossed the line. The one-page message left under the door of nearly every person in the hotel condemned the festival, saying in part, "The angels of the Most High are surrounding the city, and you cannot prevail." They don't know that we work with angels, apparently. But let's see. This is a terrorizing act. It's a frightening act, Day said. What an absolutely atrocious welcome mat for our nation to have a family from Australia come all the way to America to be terrorized in their hotel room. The letter was anonymous, and no one has taken responsibility for it. Though groups, including the Catholic group organization TFP Student Action, were on hand for the protest Saturday. Day said he was told others had heard young people in the halls talking about putting messages under the doors late Friday night. That's not an act anyone at the festival would think of doing, Day added, saying that witchcraft, which he said was officially recognized as a religion, U.S. Supreme Court in 1986, is badly misrepresented. It's all about channeling one's energy to do good in the world, he said. How to put into practice is the purpose of the festival, with the weekend filled with workshops, bone cross juju, conjure dolls for all your needs, celestial sorcery. Also included a trip to Marie Laveau's tomb, an open ritual aboard the Creole Queen. Day said the festival had doubled in size since 2015, when about 150 people attended. Now the number is over 300, and it includes well-known members of the magical community, and those, Day said, are still in the broom closet. One of those attending and offering a workshop was Star Cassis, a self-described conjurer. Cassis said she always felt at home in the witchery community, even though she still follows Christianity. That's why she was especially upset at the protest. Jesus was a healer, Mary was a healer. So they are sinners, Cassis said. I don't like being called the devil. I don't like being called a Satanist because I'm none of those. Day said Satanism is not a respected part of the witchery community, calling those who follow it radical and attention-seeking. He said he has a message for those who try to scare the community. They would have a better time with their mythical Satan than with me. I don't protest with nuns. I show up with scantily clad bikini women and pointy hats, he said. They picked a fight with the wrong person. I will not watch the guests of our festival terrorized or intimidated without severe retaliation in all legal ways. If they want to see what a legal protest can look like, I can push the boundaries of taste. HexFest concluded with a ritual Sunday night, but Day and the other participants are already looking forward to HexFest 2019, scheduled for August 9th and 11th, which...
To 11th.
Or to the 11th. You're right. So, and I need to go there and plug it. right away. Let's see. Here we go. Well, no, that's the same one. Where's the new one?
Hey, it might be even bigger next year.
All right, I might
than this hoopla.
All right, I might have to find my plug for that. I thought I had that one lined up. But yeah, might be even bigger this time next year. This time next year. Our people, and the various peoples that are our peoples, they kind of have a problem with shrinking away from controversy. And that's, to me, that's witches, warlocks, heretics, that kind of thing. They tend to be stand-up people that get up in your face rather than shrink away. And that's what's going to happen. And I'm going to find... I got to find the HexFest plug for next year's HexFest because I'm on there, and I'll plug that in just a little bit. But now that HexFest is over, you know what else is happening? Well, yeah, it's the Conjure Gala. Conjure Gala is coming up September. My internet connects so September 29th through September 30th. Mile High, the Mile High Conjure Gala in Denver, Colorado. Second Mile High Conjure Gala. Join the Master, 2018. Join the Master of Ceremonies and host Candelo Cambisa at the historical Lumber Baron Inn, right in the heart of Denver, Colorado. Seminars will be given by esteemed practitioners of, but not limited to, root work, conjure, and other paths. Presenters include Candelo Cambisa, Beverly Smith, Professor Charles Porterfield, Michelle Jackson, Ambrosine Laguerre, Professor Ames, Michael Cardenas, and Hubub Semois. Get your tickets. It's coming up, man. It's next month, 29th and 30th September. Go to conjuregala.com. Get your tickets, other information. Check out friends of ours. I can't imagine us being there, but we'll miss y'all. We're still building furniture and planting plants and stuff. We can't go to Denver. Shit. So we will cut to some music, and I got to find next year's HexFest, plug that too, and a couple other things. You are listening to Widdershins, and there was a specific song that I was going to look for. We were talking about it. Well, this will work for now.
from the rich to give to the poor. All he ever gave to them was a war and a foreign enemy to deplore. Let them eat war. Let them eat war. That's how to ration the poor. Let them eat war. Let them eat war. There's an urgent need to feed declining pride. We've got to kill them and eat them before they reach for their checks. Squeeze some blue collars, make them bleed from their necks. Seize a few dollars from the people who sweat. 'Cause it's freedom or death, and they won't question it. At a job site, the boss is godlike. Conditioned workhorses park at a stoplight. Seasoned vets with their feet in nets. A stone's throw away from a rock fight. But not tonight. Feed them death. Here comes another ration. Feed them death. 'Cause they're the finest in the nation. Feed them death. But it's something that the feed them with. It's freedom or it's death. Let them eat war. Let them eat war. That's how to ration the poor. Let them eat war. Let them eat war. There's an urgent need to feed. Like a rock, like a planet, like a bucket and a bomb. I'll remain unperturbed by the joy and the madness that I encounter everywhere I turn. I've seen it all along, in books and magazines, like a twitch before dying, like a pornographic scene. There's a fly behind the window. There's an ugly laughing man, like a hummingbird in silence, like the blood on my door. It's a generator. Oh yeah, like the blood on my door. Wash me clean and I will run until I reach the shore. I've known it all along, like the bone under my skin, like actors in a photograph, like paper in the wind. There's a hammer by the window, there's a knife on the floor, like turbines in darkness, like the blood on my door. It's the generator. Oh yeah, like the blood on my door. Wash Anything is what she is. Anywhere is where she's from. Anything is what she'll be. Anything as long as it's mine. And the door it opens way back in. Or is it way back out? Any place is where she'll be. Any place she'll see you from. Lies and secrets become your world. Anytime, anywhere, she takes me away. And that climbs up the steps one by one to give you the rose that's been burned by her sun. Point me to the sky above. I can't get there on my own. Walk me to the graveyard, dig up her bones. I have seen the demon's face. I have heard of her death place. I fall down on my knees and pray to them. Horrible things that took her away. And it climbs up the steps one by one to give you the rose that's been burned by her sun. Point me to the sky above. I can't get there on my own. Walk me to the graveyard, dig up her bones. Point me to the sky above. I can't get there on my own. Walk me to the graveyard, dig up her
The Misfits, dig up her bones. I figured, it's a hollow song to me. That and, I want your skull. I need to get that one. I need to get I want your skull. Why don't I have that? Perfect. You're listening to Widdershins, radio for your spiritual side. A twisted approach to the left-hand path. I don't even think we said that at the beginning of the show. Can you believe that? Can you believe that?
What?
I think we didn't even say that.
What?
Twisted approach to the left-hand path, that whole thing.
Oh, your little spiel?
Yeah, my little spiel. I didn't say my little spiel.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. So, I figured it out. I was trying to plug this thing. And here's where editor comes in. I'll let them know later. See, the problem is when I went to HexFest.com, it says August 10th to 12th, 2018.
Yeah.
But it's 2019 is the next one, right?
The 9th to the 11th.
And it's the 9th to the 11th. Well, this one, it says the 10th to the 12th, 2018. But it's the one that I'm on. There's my name's down here. So, maybe I don't even think that this is...
It's a Freudian slip.
I think it's a Freudian slip. But, so, next HexFest, which is the 9th and through the 12th? Is that what you said? What did you say?
The 9th through the 11th.
The 9th through the 11th of August, 2019. I mean, I realize it's kind of early to plug that kind of thing, but y'all want to, plan this ahead of time. Plan your vacation next year. Because, the tales and magic of the Crescent City of New Orleans stretch back over centuries. This enigmatic place where voodoo, hoodoo, witchcraft, and even Christianity blend with crossroads of spirituality. Yeah. Well, now down here in the text, it says on August 9th to the 11th, 2019. But the headline, you know how that is. You know what I'm saying? Okay, but August 9th to the 11th, 2019, Brian Cain, Christian Day, and the Witches of New Orleans present HexFest, a weekend of witchery held in the heart of the historic French Quarter. The conference opens with a riverboat ritual and dinner held on the authentic steamboat on the Mississippi River, followed by 2 full days of workshops, drumming, and ritual at the Bourbon Orleans Hotel, a venue riddled with history of hauntings. HexFest has gathered witches, root workers, voodoo priests, and other magical teachers from within New Orleans and around the world to offer time-honored wisdom between workshops. Attendees will love the magical shopping in our vending hall, where you can purchase powerful ritual tools. And here's where it gets interesting. Presenters from 2019 hail from across the spectrum of witchcraft and magic. Our presenters include Brian Kane, Christian Day, Dorothy Morrison, Sorita Dieste, Fiona Horn, Judica Isles, Sally Ann Glassman, Hudosen Moise, Austin Shippery, Star Cassis, Rosemary Ellen Gilly, Byron Ballard, Christian Stevens, the Dragon Ritual Drummers, Casey Paralogo, Laura Tempest Zakroff, Marie Grace Faroon, Michael Carell, woo! Right, with Melissa Mayhem right there. I know we're in the M's there, but I always like to have my name come near Mayhem. I like that. Melissa Mayhem, Patricia Telesco, Star Ravenhawk, Witch Doctor Utu, and Yeshe Matthews. Let's click on this Michael Carell guy, see what he's teaching. I'm not going to read the bio right now because Marta doesn't like. I don't understand how I don't have a billion commas, because I always have a billion commas, but it didn't work out that way.
Oh, you think it's only a problem with the commas?
Well, no, I don't even see much commas. I usually have more. But workshops for 2009 by yours truly. Magical Warfare 1, Laying Plans. Magical Warfare 2, Preparing for Battle. Magical Warfare 3, Crush the Enemy. Now, I don't even know what the other people are teaching. I'm sure it's some kick-ass stuff. Right there, man. Right there is the price of admission. And think of all the other cool stuff you'll learn on top of that. But start planning for next year. About this time next year, get your ass up for the Conjure Gala, because that's still happening. But let's see, I had another story. Let's see where I was. Conjure Gala. Oh, not exactly on the magical side. I should have thrown this in when we were talking about Trump. But story that I just saw when we were getting ready to go on the air. Funny and serious. And I always like that. Thousands sign a petition calling for LeBron James to replace Betsy DeVos as education secretary. And that's CBS News, man. Come out August 9th. A group of LeBron James fans would rather see NBA superstar go to Washington, D.C. than become a mayor of the Los Angeles Lakers. Oh, is that what they're trying to do? I'm sorry, he signed the contract, people. It doesn't work like that. Thousands of people signed a petition calling for James to replace Betsy DeVos as education secretary after Akron native recently opened a school in Ohio. Such a shift doesn't seem likely, though, especially given the relationship between President Trump and James, who will soon produce a Showtime documentary series. Come on, I'm pressing read more. Unfortunately, Trump and his cronies chose Betsy DeVos for us, and we are stuck with an uncaring education chief who has fought against teachers and has even expressed disdain for the very department she heads up.
It's like the EPA.
Exactly. At least until now, the petition reads, LeBron James is an inspiration to kids all over the country. This petition continues. He's shown he cares about America's youth and understands the power of public education in helping children meet their true potential. As of Thursday afternoon, more than 12,000 people had signed the appeal, which was started by Care2 user identified as Rebecca G. The petition will apparently be sent to Mr. Trump after collecting its target number of signatures, which has increased to 13,000 as more people sign.
I'll sign. Where is that?
I'll sign it just as it's going to piss off Trump. But I don't know if you heard that part. Part of the people that made this petition. They want him to do that instead of going to the Lakers. And he already signed the contract there. And he's probably already been paid.
No, you know what? Fuck those people.
Yeah, exactly.
We got him. He can't go anywhere else. No.
Exactly. Exactly. This year I have to be a Warriors fan and a Lakers fan at the same time somehow. And as a Warriors fan, I've hated LeBron James for a long time, but now I don't. But that's sports. We don't do sports on this show. Let's see. Okay, but that was funny as fuck. There we go. I was going to read this on the last news show. We didn't have time. Let's see. Scientists found that your soul doesn't die. It goes back to the universe. And this is one of those things, I always say, science is just really slow. We have all these ancient old farts all over the world, our ancestors, saying all this wisdom-filled shit all the time that we never fucking seem to understand. And somehow, about 1,000, 2,000 years later after they say their thing, science comes along, and thus far, by my counting, they prove it. They've only proven it. I've never known science to disprove any of the thing our old ancestral farts said. But they prove it. And we've heard this forever, but now it's proven. Now it's fact. Before it was just our beliefs, before it was just our spirituality, maybe our religion. Now it's scientific fact. Science found that the soul doesn't die. It goes back to the universe. Turns out the human brain could be similar to a biological computer, and that human consciousness may be like a program which is run by a quantum computer within the brain. What's even more astonishing is that after someone dies, their soul comes back to the universe and does not die. Now, this is according to the American physicist Dr. Stuart Hameroff and the mathematical physicist Sir Roger Penrose, both of whom argue that the soul is maintained in microtubules of brain cells. The two scientists refer to the process as orchestrated objective reduction, or ORC. Allegedly, when human beings are clinically dead, microtubules in the brain lose their quantum state, but are still able to retain the information inside them. This theory was recently outlined on the Science Channel's ongoing documentary show Through the Wormhole, in which Dr. Hameroff elaborates. Let's say the heart stops beating, the blood stops flowing, microtubules lose their quantum state. The quantum information within the microtubules is not destroyed. It can't be destroyed, and it just distributes and dissipates to the universe at large. If the patient is resuscitated, revived, the quantum information can go back into the microtubules, and the patient says, I had a near-death experience. If they are not revived and the patient dies, it's possible that the quantum information can exist outside the body, perhaps indefinitely, as the soul. Hameroff's words suggest that the human souls are much more than mere interactions of neurons in the brain. In fact, this theory indicates that these souls could have existed since the beginning of time itself. And with all of the recent discoveries pertaining to dark energy and dark matter, substances within human beings cannot seek to interact with but substances which we know exist. Nevertheless, this theory could not end us explaining things that are even more mysterious and fascinating. Now, this is a better story of the one I first posted. The one I first posted on Facebook from this story. People are going, "Oh, what scientific papers can we read on it?" This was Oxford. Okay, it was Oxford University and the Science Channel produced. Ew. Oh, the bricks. You brushed against the bricks. Marta wore white and brushed against the Spanish tile. Oh no. So,
Talk to me.
Oxford University and the Science Channel produced this study. So you can't thwart the source right away. But what I would say, what I said when somebody disputed and wanted the more facts, like I'm sorry, I don't understand what's shocking about this. Science proved this a long time ago. Physicists, which tend to be scientists, they proved this a long time ago. This is the laws of physics. You cannot change the laws of physics, Captain. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. It has been proven that there is an energy that exists within human beings that leaves the body after death, which science has called the soul. So this energy that exists in the body, leaving the body, cannot be destroyed. You cannot change the laws of physics. It cannot be created nor destroyed. Hence, the energy that was that soul existed prior to being that soul, or in that configuration that made it that soul, i.e. that soul has been many other things. The energy that comprises that soul has been other things before being the soul. And this backs up one of my own theories. For a very long time, I do not believe in the individuality of the soul. I believe the soul is connected to a larger soul, a quantum soul, an uber soul, what have you. Souls interact. Souls are different pieces. People here on Earth have soulmates that are not just love interests. They have antagonist soulmates, people that are pieces of their own soul manifest here in another human body to conflict with each other for whatever divine purpose the universe has for that. These have been some of my theories, and science is proving pieces of my theories before. I never believed that my soul is an individual. It's many individuals within that soul that have been many other things. And this has been my theory in past lives, that and particle theory. Particle theory being the particles that make up our mass, the atoms, have been many things and have been many people and have a memory stored in them, which this scientific study right here, the tubules, that would tend to back up that particular theory, particle memory theory, and that it's the particles in our body remembering the things and people and beings that they have been that make up for past life experiences, people believing that they've been stars, planets, that kind of thing, because they have. Their atoms have been those things and those people before those atoms were assembled in that configuration to become that person. Thank you, science. You are listening to Widdershins. Oh God, it was 6:36. I had another interesting story. Where was it? Oh, this one. Been a lot of this. I think did we just do the show? All men must be hated equally. Yeah, that was like 2 weeks ago or something. It was recently. Yeah. So this probably ties into that. And it comes from the Pink News UK. The Church of Anti-Transgender Witches has been recognized by the U.S. government. August 9th, 2018. A Church of Anti-Transgender Witches has achieved tax-exempt status after being recognized by the U.S. government as a religious entity.
What tax is exempt status?
The Pussy Church of Modern Witchcraft, the PCMW, explicitly states on its site that trans people are not welcome in its organization. It appears to have taken advantage of the Trump administration's emphasis on religious liberty over minority rights, as shown by the establishment of Religious Freedom Task Force. Yeah.
Status quo.
We're a congregation of adherents to our female-born, lesbian, feminist, religious beliefs and traditions. Join us. Their little flyer thing here says. This is the same government which last month was accused of targeting trans women by revoking their passports. Internal Revenue Service's decision to allow the PCMW to define itself as a church means that the group with which is located in Maryland doesn't have to reveal the names of its donors, according to Forbes. On its site, the church is described as a congregation of adherents to our female-born, lesbian, feminist ministry. I just read that fucking thing, okay? Don't tell me again. The explanation adds that... am I supposed to read this fucking fine print? We at the Pussy Church... Women and girls only. We're opposed to globally on the basis of biologic sex, gender. Okay, I'm not going to read their little agenda here. The explanation adds that males are not permitted to participate regardless of how they identify. We expressly reject the concepts of gender identity, transgenderism, and gender as being meaningful to defining what a woman or a girl is. The group's principles seem to align with those of British anti-trans group, which hijacked the Pride in London parade last month. Well, I didn't even hear about that. Somebody tell me about that. The Pride in London organizers issued an apology for the incident after the group was allowed to lead the Pride parade across much of its route bearing the sign, "Trans activism erases lesbians." Whoa. Trans activism erases lesbians. Wow. While distributing anti-trans leaflets, Brighton Pride, the country's largest LGBT pride festival, which welcomed more than 300,000 attendees earlier this month, vowed that it would not let a similar incident happen during its parade. But in fact, the event went one better. It allowed activists called L within the T, a direct reposit of the radical anti-trans groups Get the L Out of the hashtag to lead the parade, and it was beautiful. The group, which was made of trans women, trans men, non-binary people, lesbians, bi people, and gay men, led the crowd in chants, "Please know your history. Trans women fought for me. We will not hide. Trans women started Pride and kept the L within the T. You can't break the community." Some attendees in the audience reportedly burst into tears at the sight of the pro-trans group leading the parade after years of rhetorical and physical attacks against trans people. Jules Utiamachi, who was marching in the group, told the Pink News that the government was established in response to the events that took place during London Pride, when a group of anti-trans lesbians hijacked the parade and spread messages of hate and discrimination. Long article. Not going to read the whole damn article. I gotta say, you should know by now, I am the only heterosexual male warlock that I know. The only heterosexual male witch that I know reclaiming the word warlock. We're a rare breed. I was, for a huge portion of my life, an activist, a revolutionary, full-time for close to 15 years full-time. So I had a kid. I had a kid coming, and I had to get a regular job. And the first regular job I got was in the first witch store that opened in Santa Cruz. I hadn't had a regular job in quite some time. And one of the huge motivations in my activist life was the Industrial Workers of the World, a radical labor union. And the first thing that I ever did in the industrial workers of the world was to join in actions to organize a gay bar in San Francisco. God, I want to say the Mine Shack, but that was things. But yeah. So the gay bar in San Francisco.
No, that was the manhole.
Yeah. Then that led
Mine
to.
Shaft is in Nevada City.
Then that led to several years of organizing in San Francisco in the gay area. Several gay bars, gay coffee shops. That was like my main focus, even though I wasn't gay. But I'm a cute guy, so I got plenty of guys to come up and talk to me and sign petitions and things. So it worked. They chose me to do that because they saw that they would be able to utilize me in those communities. It then went from organizing in the gay community, then organizing sex workers in San Francisco. And again, I'm a cute guy, so that worked again. So I was organized the Lusty Lady, first union organized strip joint in San Francisco. People that actually signed the contract were the SCIU, because the Wobblies, the IWW, didn't have the people to negotiate actual contracts. So our job was to infiltrate, agitate, organize until we had enough people to sign a contract with a fucking real union that had clout, and that was the SCIU. So I spent a lot of time organizing in gay communities. And one thing that I noticed up in San Francisco when I was working there, that I've seen, it's not just about gay people or anything else. Marginalized, persecuted groups, when they're suddenly not marginalized or persecuted, marginalize and persecute others. As soon as you're not under the heap, it is a human impulse to attack those that are then under the heap. And once certain factions within the LGBTQ communities became more accepted, it seemed to me from the outside it became more acceptable for certain groups to attack other more marginalized groups under the same acronym, like bisexuals. Bisexuals were very targeted in the 90s, in the gay areas where I was at. And, they just can't commit. They just don't want to decide. The whole point I saw of organizing for gay rights, for lesbian rights, for LGBTQ rights was so people didn't do that shit to you. So they didn't judge your sexuality against you. But I've seen countless times that certain groups, when they get on top and suddenly they've got their rights, it feels okay to shit on others, trying to get their similar rights.
Since when are we assuming that gay men and lesbian women are all about making commitments?
Yeah.
I know plenty of gay people, men and women, who don't want to do that, and that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
So why are they criticizing other people for not making commitments?
Exactly. But I first saw it with bi people.
Yeah. No, I did too.
Yeah, and they're very looked down by the gay and lesbian propers, because they had achieved their rights. They had achieved their place in the world, and it's like historically. On Earth, the persecuted, once not persecuted, becomes the persecutor. And I would hope from some of these groups that I work very closely with when, these things were not cut and dry, when everybody did not have their rights. And here we are again, when everybody now, none of y'all have your rights again. Now's the time to come together, okay? Now's the time for solidarity, okay? If anybody's anywhere close to your belief, if they're having to fight for their version of their sexuality, you have something in common. Everything. the lesbian and gay and transgender communities have achieved is hanging on a fucking thread. And I hope you see that. I know there are still some gay Republicans out there somewhere, but everything, people that are married, your marriages can be undone by these fucking people. Everything that you won can be taken away in this particular moment in history. Everything you thought, every mountain you thought you'd climbed on top of and were above, you ain't no more. And I'm definitely not saying that's a good thing, but I'm just trying to throw that out. Everybody's, all y'all are minorities. Gay, lesbian, transgender, bisexuals, everybody, you're all extreme minorities right now in the world of Trump. All the laws and all the powers of the land are working against you. I think you should come together with anybody that has some sort of, I don't know if the word alternate sexuality is even PC, but, aside from the Christian norm, somebody that's not a cis hetero white Christian, you should probably be on their side. You should probably all fight together for your rights, because it's like the old thing, when they came for this faction, that faction. I didn't do anything. They came for me, and there's nobody left to speak. You know what I'm talking about. They're coming for you. They're coming for y'all. They're coming for me. They're coming to mine too, for our religious beliefs. They're coming for you, for your sexuality. All of y'all. And you know what? They'll burn you at the stake. They'll burn the gays next to the lesbians, next to the transgender people. And you all will be screaming in fucking horror and the same fucking painful fucking death. And guess what? There'll be a witch on the other side, man. We all that ain't them best come together right about fucking now. This is Wittershins, radio for your spiritual side. You got anything to say? We got it. We're on like 10 minutes, so we're on our way out.
Yeah, we're on the way out.
She's been nodding over here.
Are we going to play some songs?
Yeah, we're going to play some songs.
Okay.
Yeah. So you agree with what I said, basically?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so we don't have to knock each other around.
We don't have to spar this time.
We could.
Not this time, Carell.
We still could.
Not today, Carell.
You sure? Oh, yeah.
Maybe later.
You're listening to Wittershins Radio for Your Spiritual Side. You can find us at wittershinsradio@gmail.com. You can find us at YouTube, FreakPhil1309. That's FreakPhil, and the number's 1309. And the moneymaker, Gumroad. You can go to Gumroad and get all my classes in downloadable format, or you can stream them for like a little bit cheaper. But I think you want to download them and have them forever because they speak kind of fast. And you might want to listen to that thing, those lessons, over and over and over again. And that's gumroad.com/witch school. That's, of course, WITCHSKEWL. Catch us every Tuesday, unless we say otherwise, at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Wait.
And any other time we want, except August 21st.
Next Tuesday.
Next week. Okay.
Yeah.
Next week.
The next show.
we'll be taking Tuesday off. We might pop up on Monday or Wednesday or not at all that week. You never fucking know.
I want to take the week off.
She wants to take the week off, but she may be hanging out with a friend of hers, and I may do the show anyways because they'll be out at a bar or something like that.
Okay,
yeah,
that's fine.
So we might get it done.
You can babysit, watch the dog.
Exactly. So, at any rate, you need to follow us on Spreaker, and then you'll know when we come back on the air. And I won't have to tell you this shit, okay? Let's check the chat room. Hello, y'all in the chat room. Chat room's been really hopping, and you could have been in the chat room all this time, but some of you were not in the chat room because you suck. All right, this is Wittershins Radio, and we'll see you next time. See y'all.
dressed for a funeral, come rapping at my door. Let the stars around us fall and be lonely nevermore. The way you look tonight, so beautiful, it's scary. Such a lovely bride, so extraordinary. Dark side of the American dream. We don't care when they say we're obscene. We live fast, die young like James Dean. On the dark side of the American dream. Let's light the night on fire. We'll watch the bodies burn. Dance round the funeral pyre. The point of no return. The way you look tonight, a moonlit mortuary. Such a lovely bride, so extraordinary. Dark side of the American dream. We don't care when they say we're obscene. We live fast, die young like James Dean. On the dark side of the American dream. And now that we're outcast, there's no going back. White picket fences are all painted black. 2.5 kids and they will attack. We'll have a perfect family. Yeah! Dark side of the American dream. We don't care when they say we're obscene. We live fast, died young like James Dean. On the dark side. Dark side of the American dream. We don't care when they say we're obscene. We live fast, died young like James Dean. On the dark side. Dark side of the American dream. We don't care when they say we're obscene. We live fast, died young like James Dean. On the dark side of the American.
Where they look for the missing link. There's no missing link. They'll never find the missing link. There's no missing link. We're not something you can figure out with an equation. We are the genetic mutation. Aliens came and fucked the monkey. They fucked the monkey. Aliens came and fucked the monkey. They fucked the monkey. Aliens came and fucked the monkey. They fucked the monkey. Darwin tried explaining it. Darwin did the best he could. Evolution, pretty theory, but how could Darwin know that aliens came and fucked the monkey? They fucked the monkey. Aliens came and fucked the monkey. They fucked the monkey. How else explain fax machine? How else explain computer enhancement? How else explain fiber optics? How else explain Mozart? We did not belong here.